Now, who do you think may have said this particular, or who made this particular statement? We continuously see and hear the National Party deliberately inciting racist debates in the House. This House absolutely deserves better the narrative that harms the Maori and stop true to the Tiriti justice. And guess who says that? Well, doesn't surprise me. It supports what I've been saying about this particular political party for years. That was said by the Green Party MP and Te Matawhaka member Tina Tui Ono. Now, that could only be spoken by a guy with his head in the sand, has no idea of the true history of New Zealand, doesn't understand or even could care what the treaty actually does say, what his forebears actually signed up to, and the most important thing is that he's a bloody greenie. Now, who the hell would want to listen to a person from the Greens, which are known to be liars, giving all wrong information and wasting your money, my money and my time, and who are quite happy to close down the economy of this country? And this guy has the cheek, he has the gall to get up and say that when you speak the truth about the history of New Zealand and why are we going down this track that's being led by Ardern with some sort of secret document, well, you want to follow people like that, well, you can follow them, but you're going to be following them to hell, that's for sure. It is frustrating as a Maori to see there is no appetite from certain members of Parliament to right wrongs made against the Maori. You know, this is this old story of the treaty again. They have twisted it so much that even they no longer know the truth. Judith Collins and the National Party refuse to see the racism inside laws and policies they support that hold us back as Indigenous people and continue to use Maori as a political football. Well, first of all, you're not Indigenous, you can't be Indigenous, it's impossible for you to be Indigenous, and there's reasons for that, and well proven. So stop that crap. Maori are not Indigenous to New Zealand. And the other thing too, is that when those first, well, they say they came down in a fleet of hollowed out canoes of some sort, who was it? Who was it that welcomed them on the shores of New Zealand when they arrived here? Who were those people? Aotearoa, which is not even a country, it is not even a legal entity, but of course the Maori insist on calling this Aotearoa, a name made up somewhere along the line. You know, it's certainly, there's no country called Aotearoa. There's no legal point to call New Zealand Aotearoa, and if you tried to make a land deal under the name of Aotearoa, well, I'm sorry, you've lost your money. And it says here, Aotearoa is founded on Te Tirito Waitangi, which of course is based on that bloody awful Treaty Waitangi Act as peaceful partnership between Tauiwi and the Maori. We must honour it. Where does it say a partnership? Where does it say there's a partnership in the treaty? This is the bullshit, this is the lies, but of course you've got to remember that this guy is from the Green Party, one of the biggest pack of lies you're ever going to meet. And of course, this falls very easily on his tongue of speaking this nonsense, this crap, which of course is the same nonsense and the same crap that we hear on a regular basis from the Maori Party. And where did it all start from? It started from that clown called Doug Graham from the National Party all those years ago. That man was a bloody disgrace, and he started all this. And then we have a couple of judges who wanted to make a name for themselves, which have just about screwed up New Zealand, because they, at no time, even they, never read the treaty and understood exactly what it was about. As far as Finlayson, in the key government, that apologist, he hasn't helped the cause at all, as far as exactly the true situation of the treaty and where Maori and Pākehā and all the other groups of people that make up New Zealand, where they all fit into the scene of things. But please remember, the treaty does not provide a partnership. The falsehood needs to be challenged. One only has to read the actual treaty itself to see there is no partnership mentioned or even implied. The partnership is fiction and is only based upon the personal opinions of biased activists. And how did that happen? Is that the treaty was originally written in English, right? Was originally written in English. The accountant for the governor, he had some knowledge of Maori, and he thought what he might do is that he would do a translation to the best that he could from English to Maori, so that some of the Maori chiefs who were attending the particular meeting, the signing, would have maybe a little clearer understanding of what this was really about, although great discussions had taken place for days. So he did this badly translated Maori version. But what has happened in recent years is our activists, these lying, snivelling, bloody Maori activists, these ones who wanted to make the most out of this treaty, they have taken that wrongly, that badly, that terribly translated treaty, the wording from the English to the Maori, and we as stupid people allowed them to get away with this. They translated that bad Maori translation back to English, and that's where they started slanting it. So they had the opportunity to rewrite the treaty. Now don't forget that. And they have done this linkage between something which was never there, that was the partnership. And if the accounts that we have all read is correct, and there's no doubt about these being correct, particularly with the missionaries and the officials and the government officials and Maori themselves who wrote about it and talked about it and even made speeches about it, the debates from the chiefs prior to signing the treaty, they knew, yes, they knew it was not a partnership, so this argument that it is lost in translation does not hold up either. So let's stop listening to all this bullshit, this crap and this nonsense, and at the moment led by their biggest cheerleader, that Arden woman. All the records of citizens from that era, this is the era of the treaty, relate that it was clear to them that all the chiefs did in fact realise they were accepting the Queen, the Crown, as sovereign. They had good reason to. They were fearful of invasion by the French and sought the protection of the English army. That was certainly one of the bases why the chiefs were certainly interested in signing that treaty. But don't forget that New Zealand pre-1840 was the Wild West, or the East. There were whalers from all over. There were the missionaries, the saloons, there was drunkenness, there was gunfights, rape, prostitution, general unlawfulness, so Maori had no police. Thus they sought the protection of the British, whom they obviously saw as perhaps the lesser of all the evils. The British brought law and order and rights for Maori as British subjects, protected by the law, but also the Maori became accountable under it. And doesn't that make sense? But even today, since 1840, many of the Maori don't seem to be able to accept that they are accountable under the law of which their forebears signed. And this business, let's just think about this for a moment, about this partnership with the Crown. Can you imagine Queen Victoria, the lady that she was and from that era, and she had a visit of a couple of tattooed, whatever you want to call them, from New Zealand, and had a cup of tea with her? And can you imagine the Queen of England, particularly Queen Victoria, agreeing to a partnership to a couple of tattooed natives from New Zealand? I don't think so.